Good afternoon, and welcome to the second CTIS Bitesize talk of 2025. Today's event will be on redesign of the CTIS training material for sponsors users. My name is Teresa Calandri, and I'm a project assistant analyst at the EMA. Let me start with some housekeeping rules. Questions have been collected via Slido using the code #BT9Joule and QR code on screen. If the video screen is blurry or difficult to see, please read the instructions in the box underneath the live broadcast section on the events page. There you can find a link to watch the live broadcast on full screen. Please make sure you have a stable internet connection. Next slide. This is the agenda for today's events. We will start with some background, vision, and objectives, reference materials for submitting and conducting clinical trial in the EU, the CTIS sponsor handbook, the handbook's navigation and learning tools, tips for effective use. I would like now to introduce our experts for today's events. Today's session will be moderated by Roxana Mirella Spulber, Change Management Officer at the EMA. We will also hear from Francesca Scotti, CTIS Transparency Lead, who will be delivering the presentation. To begin, I would like to give the floor to Francesca.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much, Teresa, for this nice presentation, and everyone for attending this Bitesize talk. The Bitesize talk is on the simplification of the CTIS support material for sponsors and the relevant EMA webpage that is available for sponsors users when they use CTIS. Now, the specific objectives and deliverable for the projects were to enhance the navigation and accessibilities of the training materials for sponsors, so that is more easily accessible and user-friendly, to streamline the material itself and to centralize it to eliminate unnecessary duplication and ensure consistency. And then to add any training and support sources that may be useful for sponsors, and have an overview of all the available material when conducting a clinical trial in the European Union. Now, we started this because we received the sponsor feedback about the need to revise the existing training material, or the former training material. And this feedback was raised via different channels, like the EMA Change Management Survey or ACT-EU surveys on the CTR implementation. Now, the goal for us was then to have a single reference document that would be user-friendly and easy to navigate. That would be the reference document that would replace all the several fragmented documents and multiple entry points that we used to have now on CTIS until yesterday. This was delivered in accordance with the ACT-EU work plan this year. Now, what was done mainly was to include the content of all the sponsor training modules in the sponsor handbook. So you probably are already familiar with the sponsor handbook as a reference document in the training materials of CTIS. We kept that, but we reorganized the topics and included also the content of the sponsor modules. So if you now click on the URL, so on the links of the sponsor modules, you will no longer be able to see them, because the reference material needs to be the sponsor handbook from now on. Besides including the sponsor modules, we also have furtherly clarified specific topics and included also external links to legislations, to CTIS videos and bite-sized talks per topic. We're going to go through the handbook soon with a demo, but here we listed the main characteristics of it. So as I just said, the handbook needs to be from now on your unique user guidance when using CTIS, that is fully replacing the modules that you were using before. It is intended for use for the pharmaceutical industries as well as small and medium enterprises and academics and CROs. And it is an operational guidance, so it's not meant to give legal advice, but nevertheless it has regulatory guidances included in the handbook. It supports all the phases of clinical trial life cycle. So from the pre-submission steps, then we have an extensive also phase part on the application for a CT authorization, the evaluation phase, the conduction of a clinical trial, as well as the end of the CT or clinical trial and the submission of results. And in addition, it has a dedicated CTIS training and support section. How did we do this? We first started with an analysis of all the available training materials for sponsors, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. And this took a bit of time during February to list all the materials that we had. And then we started including all this material in the content of all this material in the new version of the handbook. After this, we sent around this updated version of the handbook for review. So the handbook was reviewed by several stakeholders, including not only internal reviewers, but especially sponsors, users, and member states. And then we proceeded after the review of this handbook. We proceeded with the publication of this document today. Now, what are the learning tools of the handbook? Well, first of all, it's got a clickable table of contents that is literally the first page you can see in the handbook, and we're going to see it soon. And then it's giving step-by-step procedural guides for each and every step that you may need to perform through CTIS. It's got embedded videos, tutorials, and the events recordings, such as Bitesize talks, and links, as I already mentioned, to external resources like regulatory guidances from the European Commission or the member states, as well as acronyms, a list of acronyms, and regulatory definitions. Now, the main feature of this new updated version of the handbook is the clickable table of contents. Through it, you can see all the stages of a clinical trial. And you can, it's meant for sponsors to directly at the beginning go to jump to the section that they need to read the content of. And it, as I said, it follows the flow of clinical trial phases. It has a big part on the conduction of a clinical trial, but it starts with the pre-submission steps, which are fundamental for to perform to successfully actually then access CTIS afterwards. And it is best used for navigation. So the full overview of each steps can then be seen in the actual table of content, which is in addition to this clickable table of contents of the document. The main content, as I mentioned, we have the pre-submission steps, which focus not only on CTIS user roles that are necessary for CTIS, but also on everything you need to do before accessing CTIS, and therefore, for example, recording your organization in OMS or your product in XMPD. The core part of the document is on the application of a clinical trial and the relevant publication rules and application fields and documents. Then there is the evaluation phase where we have more details also on the assessment performed by member states and the timelines needed for the assessment. And then there is a part on the trial conduction and the conclusion of the trial, and therefore during the trial conduction you may need instructions on how to perform substantial modifications or to respond to submit results at the end of the trial. At the end of the handbook, there is a dedicated section on the training and support, which we would encourage you to look at as of the beginning of the handbook. So just to familiarize also with all the training tools that we have. So a bit of specific characteristics of the handbook. It's not really important to know exactly what the content is, but it's important for you to know where to find this content. And for this reason, we clearly divided the handbook into main sections and numbered subsections so that it should be easy to retrieve whatever you need to know to perform the relevant steps in CTIS. The required sponsor roles that are needed for every step, for every for every action that you need to perform in CTIS, they are at the beginning of each section. So every step-by-step guide has the required sponsor roles. We have introduced new images and charts to visualize concepts. And we have introduced the use also of the active voice where possible, for example, in the step-by-step guidances. We have introduced some boxes like the important callouts for to give more emphasis. We put them in red so that users can better see the important concepts for each section. And we have made thorough use of the cross-references, sometimes even redundant, we would say. However, it was on purpose so that you can easily jump here and there in every section of the document. And then there is also the notes from the list of known issues and workarounds. This is the documents that is published on the CTIS website, where all the known issues and workarounds when using CTIS are listed. And this was actually a specific request that came during the external review that was performed together with sponsors in this project. Now, what do you need to do with the sponsor handbook? So the sponsor handbook needs to be your daily reference tool. So whenever you are going to use CTIS, you just have to have to have the CTIS on a side and then the handbook on the just nearby it, so that you can easily perform each and every step in the system guided by the handbook. You can start with, of course, the clickable table of contents or use the PDF search to find specific terms. It is always useful to know which is the regulatory material for every topic. So at the beginning of each topic, there is the reference regulatory material that you can consult. So the links that you can consult when performing a specific action on CTIS. We advise you also to open the relevant links of the videos and bite-sized talks in parallel, also if applicable for every step. And as I said, also to have a look at the training and support part for any support and training you may need. Now, as part of this project, we also modernized the EMA webpage for sponsors on the training materials. So you were probably familiar with two web pages. One is the training and support web page, and the other one is the online training modules for training modules. Now, the training and support web page from today on is going to be the reference web page for sponsors, where the sponsor handbook is published, as well as any other training material that is linked also already in the handbook. For example, the guidance on protection of personal data and CCI and commercial confidential information, or any additional reference material like the Excel files on the structured data and documents. With regards to the training modules, they, as mentioned, they no longer exist for sponsors, and the only training modules that still exist are the ones for authorities, and those ones are still kept in the relevant page, which is now called Online Training Modules for Authorities. So no longer modules for sponsors and authorities, but only for authorities. The training and support page is the reference page for sponsors from now on. When you conduct a clinical trial, so when you use CTIS and you want to apply for the authorization of a clinical trial in the European Union, of course, you don't not only have to look at the EMA training and support, but you especially have to look at all the regulatory resources. And we want to make clear that all these regulatory resources are not part of the EMA training material as such. But of course, they are fundamental documents that you need to be aware of when applying for a clinical trial authorization here. All the links to these regulatory resources are now included in the sponsor handbook. So for each and every topic, you're going to have everything you need to know to perform a specific action with regards to clinical trials. So I think that's it for my presentation. I'm going to go and do a quick demo of first the EMA page and then the handbook. Now, as mentioned, when you enter the training and support page, we are going to have the sponsor handbook as the unique reference document, replacing all the former training modules. This is going to be your reference document, accessible from the beginning in the page. Some guidances are also linked in the same page. Those are fundamental guidances when it comes to the application of clinical trial in the European Union. So, for example, the guidances on the protection of personal data and commercially confidential information. This is also linked in the handbook. We have additional reference materials, and the only additional reference materials that is linked in this web page is really the ones that couldn't really copy-pasted or included in the handbook itself, like the structured data form for the initial applications and member states, additional member states concerned, substantial modification or non-substantial modification. So this one, because it's an Excel file, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, this couldn't, of course, be included in the handbook, but the link to it is included in every relevant section of the handbook. I encourage users to look at this file, as this is a reference file for all the structured data included in CTIS, with details on the publication. So you can see whenever a document or a specific field is or is not published, and the relevant publication rules, so that you know them before actually uploading a document or including the structured data in the relevant sections. Other things that are linked in this page are the training and information events, so the walking clinics and the Bitesize talk, like it was in the former version of this page, and we added further information as contact points, so contact us, as well as the usual EU legislation. With regards to the online training module page, is still an online training module page, but it only regards authorities. So this page is no longer for sponsors. but only for member states users. Now, if I go back here and I click on the handbook, I view it. And the first page I see is the one that has the clickable table of contents. So as a user, I can immediately see all the steps that are required during a clinical trial life cycle. And a link also to, and each and every step is linked, so it's actually an hyperlink that allows me to jump directly to a specific section. Apart from this clickable table of contents, we can also find a more thorough table of contents, which will have exactly the same main sections and subsections of the clickable table of contents, plus the each and every small sections, so small numbered items are also detailed here. So you can refer to both table of contents to orientate yourself in a handbook. At the end of each big chapter, there is the hyperlink to the clickable table of contents. So you can easily go back to the clickable table of contents from each and every chapter. Now, if I want, for example, to apply for a clinical trial authorization, so let's pretend I'm a sponsor, the first thing I need to know is the regulatory guidances that I need to refer to, and those are linked at the beginning of the section. And this is true for not only for this section, but for each and every section where I need to perform regulatory actions. And okay, so and afterwards we're gonna have as important boxes in a red box the important parts of the handbook, and we continuously have references to the relevant sections that are useful for each and every step of the handbook, as well as for the documents that I just mentioned before. So, for example, the structured data form application one, so the Excel file I was mentioning before. I can display quickly some sections that are important in the handbook. We started with the CTIS publication rules because it's fundamental for sponsors to know exactly which are the things that are going to be publicly available to prevent any unintended disclosure of commercially confidential information and CCI. So after in this section, as you can see, there are also the boxes, red boxes with important text in it, and we included several images for explanatory purposes for sponsors. At the end of each section, we have a list of known issues and workarounds, if applicable, and any bite-sized talk or any instructional video that was done before on the specific topic. Another important section is the 2.2 on the applications fields and documents, where you have the list of applications and documents, the publication rules, and any comment that may help sponsors when filling in the clinical trial application. This was a specific request we had from a sponsor user, and it's important to know that this is the reference table, but of course the more detailed overview is provided in the same Excel I was mentioning before. So we really reduced the number of documents that sponsors need when using CTIS. I can maybe go through another detailed part, like, for example, we can see how to respond to requests for information. So during this is part of of course during the assessment of the clinical trial application. First of all, the The first box that you will see is a blue box with regulatory references. Then there are details on the RFI and explanations on it, on what it is, and then of course the list of known issues, as it was valid also for the other section that was just explained, as well as any links to videos or of bite-sized talks or step-by-step YouTube videos of the EMA on the topic. And then afterwards, we have a more hands-on section on how to perform certain steps that starts with the CTIS user roles that you need to have to perform the specific action, and this is the requisite that you have to have when you perform any action in CTIS, is to have the required user roles. There is then afterwards the dedicated section with a step-by-step guide where we use the active voice to be just more direct and more user-friendly for users. And of course, during this step-by-step guides, we also included the relevant documents that may be helpful for users when performing each and every step, like in this case, the CTCG, so member states key documents list. So anything you need to know, you will find it in the relevant section. So I think, as I said here, there is the clickable, always the hyperlink to the clickable table of contents. And here I can just go through a bit of other section of the handbook. You're going to see the same structure for the additional member state application, how to create and submit it, same structure for the substantial modification as well. Of course, whenever there are differences, those differences are highlighted, but we try to keep the handbook as much as harmonized as possible. You're going to see new images. We introduced more images for the role matrix, so for the business roles versus the administrative roles. And we have included more roles in the role matrix. So you have one unique role matrix to refer to for the submitter and preparer roles, and one unique role matrix for the viewer roles. So, and then at the end of the handbook, as mentioned, we have the training and support page, as well as so with details on how to contact us, as well as the acronyms and definitions, and a summary of the resources, videos, and bite-sized talks. So that's pretty much it for the demo of the handbook and for the demo of the web page. And I can probably leave the floor to Teresa. Thank you.
Thank you, Francesca. We're now starting the Q&A session. Please note that we will only address questions related to today's topics. For any other queries, we encourage you to submit them during the next CTIS events. I would like now to give the floor to Roxana.
Thank you, Teresa. So let's start with the first question. Thank you for modernizing the CTIS training material. Are further details on CSR submission via CTIS provided as part of this modernization? This is also related to an additional question that we have received, pretty much asking the same thing. Is there a plan to include CSR submission requirements in the future revisions of the handbook?
Thank you very much, Roxana. So in this version of the handbook, we have included, as I said, the content of all the sponsor training modules. So all the content, exactly the same content, has been included in this version. And however, we furtherly clarified certain aspects. And among those aspects, there is also the submission of CSRs. So you will find a more comprehensive guidance on that with regards to the CSR submission via CTIS. We foresee, however, to provide further guidance that may help sponsors, especially those sponsors that need to perform the submission through CTIS as well as through Policy 70 of the CTR. Sorry, of the CSR, and therefore this guidance will be furtherly provided in the future to users. But yes, you can already see some clarifications on the CSR topic in this handbook already. Thank you.
Thank you, Francesca. The next question you might have already replied to it. It was related to the sources. Just a second. I have a short. Okay. Till I find it, let's move on to this one. In Udrolex Volume 4, the old GMP Annex 13, valid only under the directive, is still listed alongside the detailed Commission guideline of 8 December 2017, valid only under the EU CTR. Since the directive is now fully repealed, when will the old Annex 13 be removed from there?
Thank you. So I see, thanks a lot, Roxana. I see two questions actually on Eudrolex. So I think we can take both together. It's actually a good occasion to clarify that the EMA is not responsible for the maintenance of Eudrolex, and therefore these are both points that we're going to take into account and forward to the European Commission. But yeah, we cannot answer on those as the responsible body of this page is the European Commission. But yes, we're going to forward them to them.
Thank you, Francesca. Okay, I'll consider the other one replied as well. Now, the next question. Are there any plans to include more real-world examples or case studies in future versions of the handbook to illustrate the best practices?
So the handbook is meant to be a step-by-step guide for every action I need to perform in CTIS, and we dedicated the section on the timelines, on the timetables, on real-world examples. Of course, we are happy to include other examples if they're needed. But yeah, the purpose of the handbook is really to have a general guidance on each and every step. If you have any suggestion on how we can improve specific aspects of the handbook, or to include any example that you think that all the sponsors would benefit from, you can open a service desk ticket on this, and we are going to be happy to include any comment.
Thank you. Moving on to the next one is, will the links to the training modules work as usual after the modernization of training material for sponsors?
So the answer to this is no, because the training modules no longer exist, and from now on, the only reference to as a training material for sponsors is and has to be the sponsor handbook.
Thank you for the clear answer. How frequently will the CTIS sponsor handbook be updated to reflect user feedback and system changes? I can, if you want, I can also provide an answer for this. The CTIS sponsor handbook is intended to remain a dynamic and responsive resources. Updates will be made on ad hoc basis as needed to reflect the significant system changes, regulatory updates, or user feedback. While at the moment we don't have a fixed update schedule, we are committed to ensuring that the content remains accurate, relevant, and aligned with the evolving needs of the sponsor and also the changes in the system and regulatory legislation. And users are encouraged to consult the latest version regularly and share their feedback as this can help inform the future revisions of the sponsor handbook.
Thank you.
Okay. Let me move on to the next question. It looks like the FAQ documents related to the former sponsor modules are not listed in the new sponsor handbook. Are those FAQs decommissioned?
The format is decommissioned, meaning that the content of the FAQ documents has all been included in the sponsor handbook. So you no longer see those FAQ in the website. The links no longer work because exactly like we did for the step-by-step guidances, we have included all the content of these FAQ documents in the handbook.
Great, thank you. Is there a summary of all training resources for a sponsor that not only includes CTIS technicalities, but also regulatory requirements that the different countries have?
So yes, it is the sponsor handbook actually, because you not only have the CTIS step by steps guides, but you also have any reference to regulatory requirements, not only for the European Commission, so EUROLEX, but also there are links of the member states' websites for specific member states' requirements.
Thank you. Which specific usability or content challenges did the redesign aim to resolve?
Yeah. So with the feedback we received is in the past was mainly that we had too many documents published, and sometimes the content was repeated throughout these documents. So what we did was really to reduce and streamline the content, keeping the essential content, but reducing and streamlining it, and reducing the number of documents that are published. So the navigation also is also more user friendly, because it's only you no longer have to click in multiple documents, but you can click in a unique document and only refer to the clickable table of contents as a reference. A reference page for navigation.
Thank you. Are there any plans to include more guidance on the preparation and submission of annual safety reports through CTIS?
Yeah, so the content of the ASR section was taken from the former modules. We have tried to be as detailed as possible, as explaining specific issues. But if you have specific questions or specific aspects that you would like to furtherly clarify, please let us know, because we try to be as much detailed as possible. Maybe we always we could have missed something. Be aware that this part also was reviewed by sponsors, so we try to take all the comments into account that were provided also by sponsors. But if you have any suggestions, please open a request through the service desk, and we'll be happy to include it.
How does the redesigned handbook improve the onboarding experience of new users? You already mentioned the reduction and the streamlining of the content.
Yeah. So yes, any new user can just open this handbook and really refer to it from even if they work from scratch, so without knowing anything, they can refer to the handbook for regulatory guidance and for more operational guidance when using CTIS.
In case of an issue being resolved, which is listed in the list of known issues, will there be any kind of announcement so that we are aware?
Yeah. So the handbook is meant to be a live document, and therefore it is going to be updated as issues are being resolved or new functionalities in CTIS are being being released. So we have the newsletters that announce any list of known issues or any known issues that has been resolved. And from that point on, that specific known issue will be removed from the handbook.
Thank you. And we are very close to the end of the received questions that are in scope of this event. What is the primary purpose of the CTIS sponsor handbook, and who is its intended audience? I think you mentioned it when you started the presentation, but I think maybe the audience would like to
furtherly have
yeah.
So yeah, if the primary purpose is really to provide clear guidance on any step that you perform on CTIS, and therefore whenever you use the system, you just open on one side CTIS, on the other side the sponsor handbook, and you go through each and every step that you need to perform for the relevant action that you need to perform in the system. The intended audience is you, the sponsors. So we hope, this will furtherly help you to apply for clinical trial authorization in the European Union and conduct trials.
Thank you, Francesca. Why is it important for sponsors to regularly consult the updated versions of this handbook, and how is version control managed? I think we kind of replied when talking about the updates, and you about the importance of the. So we can move on from this one. How does the new version support both new and experienced users of CTIS more effectively than before?
It's more effective because now the accessibility of information is just easier, because you only have a unique document where you can find information. And just for example, the PDF search functionality can be used on a unique document, and no longer on multiple documents that you would need to open and close every time. Thank you.
Great. We have
the clickable.
Somebody saying that the clickable content looks like a huge benefit and looks brilliant. Thank you for that. And the final question is, if it is a live document, will there be track changes or some way to track which are the new items included in the handbook?
Yeah. So no, there wouldn't be track changes, but we have section 7, I think. So this chapter 7, which is which is detailing the history of changes. So yeah, the history and summary of changing. You no longer have any other. So this is how it looks like. Okay, so this is how it was before, actually. So before we kept the latest update, where we did the latest updates on the former version of the handbook. And so from now on, we're just going to add an additional section every time a new version of the handbook is going to be published, where we detail every section that was updated. So I think I can stop and you can take it back. Yes, I can take it.
So we have one final question is to clarify, the majority of the content of version 5 of the handbook was moved to version 6. Francesca.
Yes, all the content of the version 5 of the handbook was moved to version 6. So you don't lose any content that was in the former version of the handbook or in the former modules. It's just been reorganized and redesigned for better accessibility.
Thank you. I'm going to give the floor back to Teresa.
Thank you, Francesca. Thank you, Roxana. And thank you all for attending the CTIS Bitesize talk on the redesign of the handbook. We would like to remind you of the next CTIS events. We will have a next walking clinic on the 24th of September and the last Bitesize talk on the 19th of November. The post-event survey is now open. You can share your satisfaction with the event by providing your feedback in Slido using the passcode #BT9July. The presentations and the recording will be available on the EMA website following the event. You can sign up for the CT Highlights newsletter for the information on when the videos are available. We are now, before we end these events, we're going to get back to one last question that we have. Thank you.
I'm going to read it. Thank you, Teresa. Apologies for the chaotic thing. So the last question is, so just to confirm, the FAQs, in which country specific language requirements were outlined in an easy access overview, has been removed, and we instead need to find information in the individual websites.
Okay, thank you. So I think this here you refer to the European Commission Q&A, where you have the specific language requirements. So in this sense, we didn't really remove it. It was never there in our EMA training material, but it is part of the European Commission guidances. So as such, it is linked in the handbook.
Okay, thank you. That was the last question.
Thank you all for attending today's event.
Thank you, and thanks very much to everyone involved also in the drafting of this handbook, and to the reviewers, sponsors, and member states as well. Thank you.